polluted, and unique spacecraft, which, since the last time we met, has taken another turn about its imaginary axis, and of course, continues creating events in full development. And once again, we affirm what we said before. There are strikes between the unstoppable power of China and the maniac in the White House with his policies. Everything that he has, he bought because he was a billionaire. He earned his millions one way or the other. However, managing the geopolitics when he has in his power the nuclear bomb doesn't allow him to take any luxury as he did when he was the owner of his economic emporium. So what we had foreseen before is now becoming true. The President of the States in the White House, it's like a bull in a crystal shop who's fighting with this very, very tiny, teeny, tiny enemy, which is China, that has all the technology that they require. They got it little by little. No one gave anything away to the Chinese. I will never forget the first time I visited Hong Kong, the Park of the English, and there was a sign, forbidden entry with dogs and Chinese people. There was a big sign, and I was asking, why do you allow this to be here still? And they say, well, lest we forget. Lest we forget. Now there is a ball power. And the President of the White House is still doing the things that he always does, with his megalomaniac attitude, doing the things he used to do when he was the owner of his company. So we are basically doomed to collision. The extreme pressure of the States and blackmailing will not work in China. Press conference in full development. Gao Feng, a spokesman of the Ministry of Trade of China, who states, "We have taken note of the important observations made by the States, and it's irrational and irresponsible for the States to create and lead to the trade frictions throughout the whole world, beyond the considerations of the internal political agency, and taking all interests to harm the businesses and consumers globally. This is a clear example of blackmailing and pressure, and this will not work in China." Gao Fen, calm as always, the spokesman of the Chinese Chancellery, who said once again that China has stated that the requirements for the consultation are honesty and to keep promises. From what I know, both parties haven't contacted each other to resume negotiations. The backstory is that the extreme effort and blackmailing of the States are not working with China, and it was reaffirmed and reaffirmed and reaffirmed by Gao Feng from the Ministry of Trade of China. The spokesman provided his statements during the press conference when he was requested to speak about the preparations of the States in order to impose additional tariffs on Chinese products, adding up to $500 billion. We have noticed all the remarks made by the States, and it's irrational and extremely irresponsible for the States to lead and create instead of improving the problems with trade throughout the whole world, regardless the internal portfolio and going against the consumers and businesses globally. This is a typical example of blackmailing, and this will not work in China. So this is what is happening, the main accusation of the States, and then they create fake news, they say lies, and now this is the spokesman of Chancellery Gao Feng. China's position is clear about their states creating research on China and imposing tariffs to the United States with their accusations of having inappropriate conduct for technology transfer, intellectual property, and industrial policies is not only fake, but it is also changing the facts without any type of background. Then Gao Feng stated,
I would
like to restate that since the United States started their background investigation through one in China, the American part has escalated commercial friction, and they blame China for the dead point in negotiations by themselves, evidently. They clearly know what's going well and what isn't. And it's not China the one to blame. The claims of the states against China and the unloyal behavior of transfer of technology, copyright, and innovation has been twisted within the facts. These were the statements of the Chancellery. China expects for the agreement between the states and them will adjust to multilateral rules. And here we have the spokesman of the Foreign Affairs of China, who was also speaking about this event. Xi Jinping, President of China, is requesting reinforcement to deepen the association and cooperation among the BRICS countries. Xi Jinping has stated here. You could have noticed that the 10th BRICS summit in South Africa has called against protectionism and unilateralism on behalf of developing countries and emerging markets. We hope that the efforts and measures taken by their states and the European Union will accept the need to stop affecting bilateral relationships. Xi Jinping requests efforts to deepen the association and cooperation among the countries members of BRICS. India's Prime Minister was also speaking at the summit. Narendra Modi, his name is. This is the BRICS conference. Narendra Modi, Prime Minister of India, President of China, and President of South Africa there, together with President Putin and Michel Temer, President of Brazil, with a group picture taken, and Xi Jinping, as President of China, provided his statement that was quite interesting. After concluding with this picture, take a look at the people from security, and the people with cameras are asked to stay where they are. They were the ones that were officially prepared for this. All the heavyweights of international politics attending this summit. The opening of the ongoing summit in the Convention Center of Santon. Xi Jinping, President of China, said,
The
wave of times is progressing regardless of the will of the people. BRICS countries must therefore firmly understand the trends of our times and deepen our strategic associations, as well as consolidating our framework for cooperation based on economic, political, and security principles, together with security, as well as the exchange from person to person. Putin,
нелегальным наркотрафиком, трансграничной преступностью. Отмечу, что объединение занимает уникальное место в глобальной экономике.
The wave of times is progressing regardless of the people's will. Thus, we need to clearly understand the trends of our times that are deepened and strategic alliances. And for this, each one of the main protagonists have attended this press conference.
La Organización de la Cumbre de BRICS,
the BRICS Summit Organization,
líderes y delegados de los negocios de la BRICS, incluidos los
leaders,
miembros del Consejo de Negocios del
as
Business
well
Council,
as the chefs
están
for
presentes
business
en la
and the
sesión de
Business
apertura
Council,
de la cumbre que se espera
present in
sea
the
uno de los
opening
esfuerzos
summit.
concertados para
This will be
revitalizar
one of the
la agenda
efforts
de
to
industrialización
revitalize the
a nivel
agenda
planetario.
for global industrialization.
Families belong together. Schools, not cages. Schools, not cages. Schools, not cages. Schools, not cages. I am a child. Families belong together. I am a child. Families belong together. Return them.
Como ven,
As you
el
can
hecho de los
see,
niños refugiados en Estados Unidos
the
siguen
events related to
molestando y
refugee
levantando
children in the
conciencias.
States
Esta es una muestra
still raise awareness,
de
and
las
this is a
protestas en Estados Unidos
representation
contra la
of the
política
strikes in
de
the States
Trump
against
de
Trump's policies
separar a los niños de
of
sus
separating
familias
children
y
and their
tenerlos
families
en la frontera.
and keeping them at the
El
border.
Capitolio de los Estados Unidos
The
también
capital of the
exigieron que
states
se
also
reunieran las
demanded
familias separadas.
the
Y las
meaning of
manifestaciones
separated
pacíficas
families
son
and peaceful
continuas.
demonstration come within.
Devuelvan a los niños
Bring
el
back the
exterior del edificio y
children,
las oficinas del
the
Senado,
outside of the office
la
and the
oficina
office of
de
the Senate,
policía,
the
y la
police office,
solidaridad.
as well as
Yo
the
soy
solidarity
un
scene.
niño,
I am a
tengo derechos.
child and I have rights, of
Póster
course.
diciendo, "Yo soy un
These are the
niño",
signs that state
manifestantes
I am a
dentro del
child.
edificio de las oficinas del senador Hart,
Demonstrators in the
manifestaciones
office
ante el
of
Capitolio de los
Senator
Estados
Hart
Unidos,
in front of the
exigieron a
capital
la
of the
administración
States,
Trump
demanding
reunificar
Trump's
a miles de
administration
familias inmigrantes
to
separadas
reunify
en la frontera entre
thousands
Estados
of
Unidos y
migrating
México.
families in the border between the States and Mexico.
Y esto horas antes de la fecha
And
límite
this is just hours
ordenada
before
por la Corte
the
para
time limit
devolver
ordered by
a
the
sus
court
familias los niños mayores de 5 años.
to bring the children back,
protestas
children over
organizadas
5 years of
por
age. Protests
Families Belong
organized by
Together.
Families Belong
Las familias
Together.
deben permanecer juntas.
Families belong together.
Los manifestantes, muchos de ellos niños pequeños,
Demonstrators,
llenaron el
many
edificio de la
of them
oficina
young children,
del senador Hart, donde exhibieron carteles
attended
que
the
decían,
office
"Soy
of
un niño", cantando
Senator
canciones
Hart,
de cuna, y se unieron a una sentada dentro del
singing
edificio.
songs and sitting in the building.
La bandera siria se levanta
Syrian
en Quneitra,
flag been
del
raised
lado
in
sirio de los
Quneitra
Altos
in
del
the
Golán.
south side of Golan.
Banderas nacionales de Siria, banderas
National
del
flags
partido
of
Ba'ath,
Syria
fuerzas
and of the Ba'ath
pro-Assad,
Party.
tomando fotos de la
Pro-Assad
bandera nacional
parties
de Siria y la bandera
taking
de Ba'ath
pictures of the
en la
Ba'ath
subida
flag
en Quneitra.
in Quneitra.
Bueno, la frontera israelí en las alturas
This
del Golán,
is the Israeli border in Golan,
lugar donde
which
hay
is a place
tensión y dedos en
that
el gatillo.
always holds
Fuerzas
both
israelíes
tension and
manejando
fingers on the
vehículos
trigger.
militares en las
Israeli
alturas del
forces
Golán
with
en
military
permanente
vehicles in
patrullaje.
Golan patrolling constantly.
La situación
And of
creada
course,
por Israel
there's
en
a
esta
situation
zona.
has been created by Israel
Vehículos
in
que se
this
mueven
area.
del lado sirio,
Vehicles
frontera
moving
israelí
on
en
the
las alturas
Syrian
del Golán.
side, the Israeli
Las
border
fuerzas
in
de
Golan,
pro-Assad
and the
alzaron también la bandera
pro-Assad
siria en
forces that
Quneitra después
also
del 26 de
raised the
julio,
flag in Quneitra,
mientras el gobierno continuaba
while the
presionando para
government
recuperar el
continued
control total
pressuring in order
de
to
los
gain full
estratégicos
control
altos del
of
Golán
Golan
sirio,
in
territorio
Syria.
muy estratégico que
This
limita
is a
con Israel
very
y con
strategic
Jordania.
land that
Mientras
has a
tanto, Estados
border
Unidos y
with
China
Israel
se
and Jordan.
enfrentan
In the
en la
meantime, the
Organización
States
Mundial
and
de Comercio
China
por el papel del
are in the
Estado
World Trade
en la
Organization
economía china.
fighting for the role of the
Delegados que
state
llegan
in
a
the
la reunión
Chinese
del
economy.
Consejo en
Delegates
la sede de la Organización
reaching the
Mundial de
council
Comercio,
in the headquarters of the WTO,
trabajadores chinos,
together with
los
workers of
embajadores
China,
representándolos,
ambassadors representing them,
Yang Shen,
and
embajador de
Yang
Estados
Shen,
Unidos, Denis
ambassador of
Shing,
the
hablando
States,
reuniones del Consejo
speaking
que
there,
está en
together
curso.
with
La
meetings of the
delegación
General
de Estados Unidos
Council, of
está
course.
sentada en la mesa con
The
Xi a la
delegation
izquierda,
of the United States is
escuchando.
there with Xi on the left, listening to the
Delegaciones chinas
conversations,
con Shang
and Chinese
escuchando
delegations with
también.
Shan also
Reuniones del
listening to
Consejo
the
Federal
events,
en pleno
and meeting of the General
desarrollo.
Council in full development here.
Tranquilidad ante las cámaras
Full
en
calmness
este
in
momento.
front of the
Pero
cameras
la
as of
procesión
now.
va por dentro.
However, the problems are on the
Enviados chinos y
inside.
estadounidenses presentaron visiones radicalmente
Chinese
diferentes
and
sobre el modelo
American
económico de China
deputies
en
show
la
their
Organización
different
Mundial de
perspectives
Comercio.
about
Después
the
del
business
26 de
model of
julio,
China
una
in
elección
front of the
entre la
WTO,
economía más
an election
proteccionista del mundo
between the most
y una
protectionist
historia de
economy of the world
crecimiento que benefició
and a
a todos
history
los
of growth
países
that
de una manera u
provide a
otra.
benefit to all
El
countries
embajador de
one
Estados
way or the
Unidos
other.
en
The
China
ambassador of the United States, that is
presentó un
she,
trabajo titulado
had a paper called Disruptive Economic Model of China during the last meeting of the WTO. Tensions keep on growing when the Gaza Strip and the inhabitants there bury their dead, those who have been burned by the bombs at the south of Israel. Palestinian people taking their death out of the morgue, people crying, and carrying their deaths is, of course, a new motivation for rivalry here. Many United Nations resolutions are being violated. Saberkat, Palestinian leader, said, "We condemn these attacks against Gaza and we appreciate Egypt and other Arab countries with their effort to de-escalate the situation." The fire is one of the resources often used after each one of the protests. And for this, it was stated, we are during a campaign. This means an exchange of strikes. But at the end of the day, it's a test of our will. We're going to see who's the one who transcends. We are burning all the resources we have.
Israeli attacks on Gaza, and we call
This is a campaign. This means an exchange of strikes. But at the end, the goodwill. We are using all our possibilities, but we want to defend the borders, our borders. We will do everything in our hands to keep our security, not only for the neighboring communities to Gaza, but also for the state of Israel. Speaking about Israel, Netanyahu Netanyahu arriving at the meeting, stating, "We are carrying out a campaign. This means the exchange of strikes, but at the end, it is a test of the willpower. We are using every single possibility, but we're going to defend our borders. We'll do whatever is in our hands in order to keep our security, not only the communities near Gaza, but also the whole state of Israel." This is Iraq. The forces of the Syrian government advancing in the Quneitra province. This is Syria right now. This is a tank of the Syrian government in front of the cameras. Buildings there. And there are aircraft flying over this regardless of the lack of visibility in order to provide intelligence data. These are the consequences of the last strikes. Military actions taking place, and this video shows military tanks moving in the area, a military plane flying over them, and also smoke from the different places. And the observatory stated that the government forces have been able to progress further and to take advantage of new cities that are strategic for their endeavors. Syrian army, supported by a Russian aerial campaign, has been in Quneitra after an attack that defeated the rebels in Ta'a, the neighboring province, and that once had the support of Washington, Jordan, and the Gulf states. From above, everything seems calm, however the problems are on the inside. The offensive had restored the control of the Syrian government over a strip of the southeast. This is a strategic territory in the border between Jordan and Israel. Military vehicles in Iran who are transporting a convoy and they are parked there waiting for orders. And
And
Raya Rasul, a spokesman of the Joint Operations Command in Iraq, stated, military actions here have been ongoing for quite a while already, focused on the areas that come from the western province of Yara to the province of Kirkuk. Military actions that have been drafted in order to swipe away extremists in this area are still in full development. This is the second stage in order to take over the missing areas. The results of the combats and also the refugee camps that are the last resort where children are given the priority. A flag of the Islamic State, damaged structures, military vehicles, and soldiers in an area. Here you can see a drone that is watching over the operations. Officers of intelligence driving these planes, Ryan Rasul, from the command of Joint Operations of Iraq, stated, we are willing to create a safe area for the people, not for the terrorists. We're not going to allow any terrorist attack to happen. We're going to continue with our military actions in order to catch them. The Operations Command has chosen certain areas for the troops to be swept away. We don't want this land to be filled with terrorists. We are not going to allow this to happen. So they're permanently observing this, armored vehicles patrolling there, and military actions against terrorism in the center of Iraq recently started the second stage in order to return to the rest of the parts of this area. Over 700 migrants invade the border between Morocco and Ceuta. Regardless of the barbed wire, you can get cut with barbed wire, of course, but they still continue. The police helping a migrant who's trying to go through the fence, and they're on the Moroccan side of the border. The fences nearing the north zone, and emergency personnel looking over the health of migrants and collaborate. Young migrants celebrating this, they celebrate SETI, the migrant center, because here, at least they arrived at a place where they have some hope, even though they are remotely close to the place where they want to be. Migrants showing their bloody hands, sitting there wounded. Often, if you go through barbed wire, your hands will be completely wounded. And the police bringing the people who require medical attention to the hospitals. But these people at least have a glimpse of hope to reach here. This is no guarantee about their immediate future or their present. Over 700 people took over the border between Morocco and Ceuta, the Spanish enclave, according to the police. And the authorities described this as one of the most massive and violent crosses of the recent times. 592 migrants were seen, out of which over 100 were wounded. 11 had to be taken to the hospital in order to get extra help due to the barbed wire they had in front of them. It's not only barbed wires, but they also have some blades. This is a different type of barbed wire that we're not familiar with. The Spanish media explained that those migrants were apprehended and that the police took them to the Moroccan side. And this is one of the most dramatic ways to cross the border. Al-Assad, Syrian president, stated that the white helmets are just the mask of Al-Qaeda and the Al-Nusra Front. Syrian president states that the members of the organization have two options: either give up their weapons or be eliminated. Bashar al-Assad, Syrian president, stated that the organization of white helmets work in Syria and is nothing but a facade for the terrorist group of Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra. Speaking to the Russian media, explained that the activities of the white helmets have rejected the possibility of giving up the weapons and take advantage of amnesty. And if they don't fulfill this, they will be killed just like any other terrorist, according to the agency. In the meantime, Vladimir Putin and Trump in a meeting in Helsinki. President Trump has created a storm in the American establishment that leads to all the financial center in the world. Ever since the announcement of his candidacy in 2015, he's been a headache, the black beast for the dominant class that promotes globalization. As a strategy to consolidate their global scale power, recently, the summit between Trump and Putin in Helsinki led to a hysteria never seen before in the circles of power to the States. Before analyzing the meeting with Putin, we must remember that Trump didn't acknowledge the treaties with their allies and introduced a zero-tolerance policy in the border with Mexico and declared a trade war with China. The American establishment answered with no mercy with all the media they had in their scope. This clearly shows the typical environment that is created by the maniac of the White House, who thinks that he can manage the external affairs of the United States as if he would be managing all his companies, where everyone just answers yes sir, because he's the one signing the checks. But he cannot do so for foreign policy in a country such as big and important states. My 3 satellite screens are not providing any additional information for the moment. If we would have any more information, we'll let you know. We're going to have a short break and we'll be right back with more events in full development. Stay where you are. We'll be right back.
A man who inspired a continent.
Era un hombre demasiado humilde, igual que uno, y andaba junto con uno.
A current idea on every corner of his town.
En Chávez está una lectura originalísima de nuestra realidad.
Hugo Chavez, a man with dreams. On Sunday, only on Telesur.
Me gustaría tener un mundo mucho más inclusivo para todos.
没有贫穷.
Στην ανθρωπότητα θα ήθελα να δω παραπάνω αγάπη, αγνότητα, πολιτισμό και επαφή με τη φύση.
Que el ser humano despierte su conciencia.
I want humanity to see itself as one humanity.
We are the people, a space, a voice. We are Telesur without borders.
Volvemos con más
We are
acontecimientos.
back with more eventful development. The French Prime Minister is still juggling some balls, and well, one of them fell. And there's an event that has led to a very high political cost, and it is about the internal politics of France. And you will understand why I am speaking about this, and we have some other topics for a second block in order to keep you updated with the information that we have. Let's take a look at the eventful development and you'll see what I'm talking about. After the issue with the bodyguard, well, Macron has his first travel since the bodyguard scandal. He is in France. French president who is greeting the crowd, and Macron being there with the crowd. And there's a French resident who says, "This is still the same, but I will no longer speak about this. I had said what I needed to say, and now I will be with the people and no longer speak about this." Well, this is one of the areas where, of course, questions were going to be asked. Welcomed with traditional songs of the region.
Régionaux, mesdames et messieurs les conseillers départementaux, madame la sous-préfète, monsieur le président de l'université Paul Sabatier.
Bueno, Emmanuel Macron
stated,
y diciendo lo mismo.
I am still the same one, and I will stop speaking about the Benalla issue. I have said what I needed to say. I didn't listen to the ones who wanted to create issues with this. Journalists would with me for 45 minutes. And I didn't evade any question based on my responsibilities. And here, with all the regional protocol, he's welcomed. Everyone takes pictures with the new president and the leaders of the democratic movement, as well as the leaders, together with the people of the Mediterranean, together with Macron. Well, they all wanted to be there and to send their own messages. Macron with regional representatives who stated, an unidentified person asked him, "Well, this is Benalla. You're welcome here, and we're going to try to bring the best to the region." And another person said, he came here, he was very gentle. He speak about the visit of Macron to touristic zones. Always smiling regardless of the difficult internal affairs in his country. And then there's the perspective of trying to vent down and leave Paris for a second.
Je vois au travers des auditions que j'ai toutes suivies, c'est la remarquable intégrité de ceux qui, autour du président de la République, exercent les fonctions de l'État. Une intégrité.
The leader of the Democratic movement stated, "We'll speak about the Benalla topic one of these days, and what I've seen in the commission and the events that I followed is the integrity of the people surrounding the president in the exercise of his own duties. The state and its an identity that we know. There were interviews after interviews to discover any suspicions, but they haven't altered the official agenda. Then, the other perspective would be to see why this happened with all these claims that are not based in facts. Some of them are trying to demonstrate that this is a political maneuver against the president, while others try to make this bigger to see if they're able to get something in national politics with the difficult situation that the Prime Minister had to go through." So this is after all the ceremony, and the firefighters are fighting forest fires, and it's a very, very difficult situation with the weather and the consequences it brings. Emmanuel Macron, President of France, on July 26th, said he didn't have anything to add about the issue related to his bodyguards. Firefighters fighting forest fires in Germany. This is Fichtenwald in Germany, fighting the fires in the woods, and this is just starting. Firefighters creating an area for control before this spreads. So they're creating a neutral area by cutting down the trees and thinking about the wind, about the possibility that this can happen. Firefighter trucks, and if they spread from tree to tree, this wildfire will be uncontrollable. Trucks and firefighters in the woods, and as you can see, there's barely any traffic in order to avoid the spreading of these fires that could lead to any tragedy that could not be controlled. This is in Lichtenwalde, Germany. There are helicopters of the police there trying to coordinate from the air this important endeavor. Firefighters fought the forest fire in Fichtenwalde's forest. The fire is located 1 hour away from Berlin that covered 90 hectares of forest. They didn't know how to stop it. Firefighters had to close the A9 highway next to the woods that leads to a lot of traffic in the route. It was stated that fire wasn't still fully controlled. However, as of now, apparently it didn't cross the highway. The firefighter services stated they wanted to control the fire, but they weren't able to provide clear information about when they were going to react, because the direction of the wind could shift. So what could seem in control and safe could be just a new focus for a fire in areas where firefighters haven't been able to reach yet. There are deployment of specialized vehicles and people for this circumstance. People who live in this area were warned about the possibility that if the conditions worsen, could be requested to evacuate the area. This is a flying cam with remote controller. They are very fashionable today to watch every event from the air, coming from demonstration to forest fires like this. This is the focus point of this new aerial resource. Take a look at this. This is very difficult to watch, and this is just getting started. So the events are getting tougher. We change places now. Chileans who assault the church and demand the Archbishop to provide his resignation on scandals of sexual abuse. The Archbishop of Santiago, Ricardo Essati, leading Mass in Santiago in the cathedral, with other members of the church, and there a crowd demanding his resignation. The officers of the church surrounded the bishop and the priest, as the activists they are, and demand the resignation of everyone involved in the sexual scandals. An unidentified person stated, God will be asking more from you than from us. If you have some shame, then you must resign. You are demanded more than the ones of us who don't have a religion. All bishops must resign. This is their indignation, and this is a brutal event. The Archbishop Essati is escorted to the cathedral during Mass, and the protesters holding signs. They're all accomplices of abuse pedophilia, and other crimes. No more corrupt bishops. It is the paradigm of the church of all times. This is Ricardo Resate, Bishop of Santiago. With the same attitude of the church of the beginning, we are hurt everywhere, but we aren't dead. We aren't desperate. We are prosecuted but not abandoned. We are not dead. This person must resign. He must vindicate all his sins. He is responsible. A priest has a bigger mission against God, but also responsibilities to the people of Chile and to the crimes against the children. All bishops must resign, and the Pope must appoint different people for this.
Bueno.
Okay.
Si alguna vez fue supremamente duro, Jesucristo fue cuando habló de aquellos que abusaban de los menores.
Jesus was always tough when speaking about minors. It's better to drop that on the sea. Spain fighting against the arrival of migrants, and this is the typical scene in Algeciras, where migrants are in a ship in the coast while others are already on land. And Marian Zambrano provided her statement. Migrants who are there and who try to be in the different vessels, and this is the pathetic reality of crossing this. And they come from their own colonies in Africa, of course. However, now, where they don't have any direct interest, like they did when they wanted to expand and explode, now they don't want the ones who they kidnapped in their own territory. How about this? So what's that? What happened there? It was deflated, maybe with a shard. Well, this is a gesture of rivalry. And these are coast guards with migrants at the ships. Under this reality, it is clear that there must be a division of this responsibility in a collective fashion, together with all the different territories of Spain, and at the same time attention in Brussels, because they cannot only have words for the different governments who look at the side and leave the responsibility to others, as stated by the regional president, Susana Díaz. Sports Center is created as a temporary shelter for migrants. Andalusia, Spain, had problems facing the new wave of migrants, promoting the regional president to call other Spanish regions to bring in refugees and also to request Brussels for the rest of the countries to cooperate. Spain has now more migrants than Greece and Italy. Spain and Ecuador signed an agreement to fight against organized crime. This took place in Madrid with Pedro Sánchez, Prime Minister of Spain, and President of Ecuador, Lenín Moreno, who greet each other outside the Moncloa Palace. As you know, Lenín Moreno needs a wheelchair to get by, and this is a parallel conference between Sanchez and Moreno. We must state that Sanchez and Moreno are signing a cooperation agreement against transnational crime. So there was a picture taken. However, we do not have any audio about the events that were spoken about in the bilateral meeting. The Minister of Exports of Spain, and Fernando Grandes Marcroas, and the Minister of Economy of Spain, Nadia Calvino, were also in this meeting. Sanchez and Moreno speaking there after the bilateral conference, and they signed the agreement, and the officers of both governments sitting at the table signing this before lunch. The Prime Minister of Spain, Pedro Sánchez, and the President of Ecuador, Lenín Moreno, signed a cooperation agreement to fight against organized crime. According to the Spanish leader in his Twitter account, the leaders also spoke about bilateral relationship between both countries and the Ecuadorian community in Madrid that has around 400,000 people, the biggest one of any Latin American country in Spain. Moreno is visiting Spain for 2 days and previously visited the United Kingdom. And this is a table without any statements, an opportunity for photographers. And then Fares Shahabi, Prime Minister, said, based on the Syrian plane, ISIS had an attack that killed 38 civilians as of now. ISIS operates under direct command of the Israeli army on the other side of the border. A strong statement about this event. Attack in Syria, 144 people dead. Another dramatic event, 144 people dead, 68 children and 120 Syrians were evacuated from different places, and hundreds were wounded in a suicide attack. At least 68 were children. It's one of the most deadly attacks in over 6 years of war. Over 120 Syrians evacuated from this place who were loyal to the government died, and others were wounded in a suicide attack with a bomb car on Saturday against their convoy, one of the deadliest attacks in over 6 years of war. These are only the pictures that we're sharing with you, out of which 68 were children according to the new numbers provided by an NGO. And 9 of them, of the 126 that were inhabitants of Huacrafaya. These 2 places support the government, while the rest were rebels who were humanitarian workers. Pay attention to this. No to business with apartheid. Senate of Ireland prohibits the import of Israeli products coming from occupied Palestinian territories. This was shown today on palestinalibre.org. This is the never solved event in the Holy Land. In the meantime, Gamba CL, during the Piñera government, massive unemployment grew, as well as the dissolution of companies. So these are the new means of communication. It's not enough to increase massive job cuts. An article showed that over the first months of 2016, a 56% of companies increased, and this is concerning by a number of companies that have declared themselves in bankruptcy during these last few months. At Cooperativa, senators want to quicken projects that take away nationality for Etzati. Members of the Commission for the Senate will provide discussions to take away the nationality to Colonel Ricardo Etzati after providing statements about the scandal we just mentioned. Next week, this project will be passed that will take away the Chilean nationality that was given to him in 2006. The Archbishop of Santiago is now facing this event. Fundación Barrio Barinas, Medical Mission of Cuba in Venezuela celebrates, just like every year on July 26th, the assault to the Moncada quarters and Carlos Manuel de Céspedes, something that changed the events of Cuba. We have been there, a historic place, and this is something we're going to share with you. Carabobo Alimentos. This is Villa del Guerrero. It puts against the wall those who thought that the oil reserves couldn't be taken advantage of to strengthen international to go against international accounts to strengthen national ones. So there are messages of congratulations for the president, and we would like to share this with you on behalf of our team. It's the following. We just got this. Greetings. From the Republic of Colombia, I send you my deepest greetings. I'm a politologist, and your show is a very important input of information. Thank you for your work. Additionally, my students in different grades are requested to watch Dossier, a show that we then analyze in class. Cristian Rodriguez, politologist, National University of Colombia. Well, a big hug to our viewer and also his students. We feel honored for this program to be an asset for education, even though it is deep and important for us. It's nothing new, because I know that there are many civilian and military institutions who also promote this show. They either analyze it live or record it. So after this, we close our dossier. I would like to send our greetings to the teacher and his students in Colombia. This is Dossier for today so far. After the news events, while the first block was in course, we're modifying the events for a second one, as I don't need a teleprompter or anything written. So these are events, of course, in full development. We don't have any further information, so here from Studio 3 of Venezuela Televisión, the pioneer channel of Venezuelan TV, that is the heir of TVN5, where I started with trans information in Charneca, Cerro Marín, where you may be on the other side of the screen. Thank you for allowing us to be there with you. Don't send any messages to Telesur. This is not a Telesur program. It is my program as an independent producer that is creating Studio 3 of Venezuela Televisión, VTV, the official channel of Venezuela. Victor Tango Victor International Code. Wherever you may be, once again, greetings from all our team, because we have received very emotive messages from you. So how was this? One of them didn't say things right. Either way, I will pretend like if I heard nothing. Director, the floor is all yours.